Okay, right. Here we are again. We are back. This is another episode of the We Quit Booze Brothers. We've just recently changed the name because we were advised that that might be more searchable, I think, on YouTube. Anyway, we don't really know what we're doing, but we've changed the name. So welcome to welcome to the We Quit Booze Brothers. This is a podcast where we basically try to have honest, no fluff conversations about our various experiences of quitting alcohol. And with me, as always, is my brother Matt. Hello, Matt.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, we are back. We're back with a new title. And actually, I just want to say thank you for those who put comments on our YouTube channel. It was because of one of those comments that we thought we should actually change the title. So yeah, keep commenting, keep telling us what you think, give us advice on this channel. We really do appreciate it, and we listen. So that's cool. So yeah, we're back. I'm here with a brand new haircut. For those of you on YouTube, you can see it. Yes, I went to the same hairstylist as my son. Yes, I am far too old for being doing that, but there you go. For those on Spotify, you'll just have to imagine. Anyway, we're back. So over to you, Mark. I'll let you introduce today's topic, and we
Yeah.
keep going.
Okay. All righty. So this is a topic which I get asked about quite a bit when I'm talking to, just day to day, talking to people about. A lot of people I know talk to me about, quitting alcohol. It's on their mind. And one of the things that I'm asked about a lot is, what happens to your social life? What happens? Isn't it just boring once you quit drinking? Presumably that just all kind of goes out the window. And so we wanted to have a conversation on that very subject about, what do you do? How do you manage your social life? What does that look like when you don't drink? And, I've been thinking about this. There's a few things that I would like to, just put out there. And I think the first one is, like a lot of these things, I think sometimes you create in your head a vision of something which is going to be a lot worse, a lot more negative than in actual fact it really is. So I think my first piece of advice to anybody that's on the fence about quitting alcohol because they're not sure what their social life is going to look like is just go ahead and try it. Just give it a go. I'm reminded of that, is it Mark Twain quote, and I'm probably going to hash this, but I'm an old man and I've known many troubles in my life, most of which never actually happened. The point being that we create these, sort of negative outcomes very often in our heads, and the reality is that when you actually do the thing that you were worried about, it's very, very different. And I would say try it. Go out one night, don't drink, and see what happens. And what does happen is that the dynamic changes. And in my mind, there are more layers to a night out when you don't drink. Sounds an odd thing to say, doesn't it? Because you would imagine that if you're drinking, you're going out, you're having a roaring laugh, it's a great time, there's the party vibe, blah, blah, blah. But my first point on that would be is if you're watching this video, chances are you are at the point where alcohol is becoming problematic to you, whether it's a severe problem, whether it's just getting in the way of, you living the life that you want to live, the best life you want to live. So I think in response to, yeah, but I have a great time when I drink and when I go out, I say, well, how's that really working for you now, if you think about it? And I think that when you drink alcohol, you tend to go out on a night out. Basically, that's the point of going out. You go out because you're going to drink. It's quite a selfish, quite an insular pursuit, really. I don't think are going out to necessarily connect with other people. Don't know that you're necessarily going out for the scintillating conversation. You're going out for the drunkenness. When you don't drink, you still get the laughs, you still get the fun, but there's more layers to it for you. And one of the things that's really cool is, number one, you get to go when you want to go. You get to leave when you want to leave. You don't need to get pressured or bullied into staying out any longer than you necessarily want to. And I think that there's something really cool about walking away from a night out, knowing that the next day you're not going to feel totally shit, knowing that you've had a good time, knowing that you probably didn't let yourself down, you didn't say anything that you're going to regret the next day. And what the other point as well about when you don't drink and the sort of social aspect of that, excuse me, is that you're removing this ongoing battle that exists when you do drink. Excuse me. And what I mean by that is that I think when you drink alcohol, you know there are going to be consequences. You know that you're going to, wake up the next day not feeling great, not feeling fantastic. You know that you're going to be tired. You know that your sleep's going to be disrupted. You know that there's going to be a payoff. There's going to be a payback rather to the drinking. And so there's this constant battle of, did I drink too much? Am I not going to drink enough? And I was talking to a guy last week, actually, who's right on the fence about whether or not to quit. Definitely, he's at the stage where, drinking is getting in the way of a few things. It's becoming problematic. And he said, well, the worst part is that I've started drinking, on Saturday nights, well, Friday nights, Saturday nights, and now on Sundays. He said, but in actual fact, I can't drink on Sunday because I've got a meeting at 6 o'clock in the evening. It's a sort of homeowners association meeting or something like that. He said, so I'm probably going to have to, manage around that. And that's really my point, is that you're constantly having to manage around situations. You're constantly having to sort of move the times when you're going to drink and put them over there and try not to screw that part of your life up because you did that thing. So when you don't drink and you socialize, you get to go out, you get to connect with people, you get to have fun, you get to do it on your terms, you get to leave when you want to leave. And I would say that I've had a lot of fun. Now, do I go to pubs and bars as much as I did when I was drinking? Definitely not. But do I go out and go to shows or to plays or to restaurants or to go to dinner? Yeah, all the time. And it's great. And, I would say that the person that I have become since I quit drinking and the relationships that I've established or re-established with friends who, are very tolerant of the fact that I don't drink, because there are some people who just want to go out and get hammered. And if you're not drinking, you're kind of no use to them. Those people are going to go by the wayside for sure. My experience of it's been all upside. I the non-alcoholic beers are great these days. I enjoy one or two of those. That's about as many of those as I can drink. You don't want to drink more than that. Everybody sort of assumes that you do, but you don't. And yeah, I think that's it. I'll leave it there. I'll hand over to you, Matt. But I think my biggest piece of advice would be, rather than worrying about what it might feel like to go socializing without alcohol and therefore not quitting alcohol because you're concerned about it, give it a go. Try it, see what it feels like, and you might find that you're surprised.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a really, really nice way to hand over. And for once, I think you've dealt with the subject of what it's like to go out. I wanted to come at it from a slightly different angle, which is, when you start, how do you cope in social situations? So I think really when you start, let's say you've made your decision, you want to stop drinking. The thing is, you can't stop socializing, and you shouldn't. It's not, the idea isn't that you lock yourself in at home and you're climbing the walls in some sort of train spotting style bedroom, but the idea is, no, you carry on with life, and life in a different way. So the reality is at the beginning, probably best not to go out on a boys' night or a girls' night straight away, but choose other things. So I always think lunch is a great one. Lunch, generally people don't drink as much at lunchtime unless they're going for an all dayer, which I have to admit I have participated in a few times in my life. But no, lunch generally, even if your friends are going to have a drink, it'll just normally be a drink or two, and that's very nice. And I think even for people who are respecting the fact that you've just stopped drinking, for them not to have a drink at lunchtime is a fairly easy thing to do. Whereas, dinner, I can understand that maybe they would definitely want to have a drink. So that's cool. I think pre-dinner drinks is quite a nice thing to do as well, because, if you go to someone's house, certainly in France where I live, the idea of aperitif is very, very common, I think, in a lot of other European countries as well. So, you maybe meet out at a bar before dinner, and that might not even be going for dinner with those people. It would be, we'll meet, we'll sit down, we'll chat for an hour, and then we'll go our separate ways. And there again, it's very easy just to have, a Coke or a sparkling water or a non-alcoholic beer. I tried one at a Brooklyn Lager. They do some really good ones, by the way, anyone interested. I also think that certainly beginning, you need to think about what you want to say, because there will be those who question it because you may not have announced this. I certainly didn't announce it. I kind of went with the flow. It was close people who knew that I decided to stop, and then you're not going to go and tell every colleague, every cousin, friend, or every that's what you're doing. So yeah, have those speeches ready. I think that's important to cope in social situations. So you can go flat out if you want. You can go, yeah, I'm an alcoholic and drug addict. What do you do? If you want to, it's your choice. I think that's the key thing. One I like is, I used to drink. I turned pro young and retired early, so I think that's quite a nice one. Or just the truth, really, which is a lot of the case, which is, I got bored of the hangovers. I wanted to see what life was like without the alcohol, without the booze, and here I am. And you know what? It's fantastic. Or just, you can say, yeah, I had some problems with it, and I avoid it now. So there's plenty of things you could say. There's some quite fun ones. You can look them up. I'm sure ChatGPT would have some help for you there as well. The one you touched on, Mark, which is super important, and honestly, this is a game changer, and it's I can't tell you how many times I have wheeled it in, which is leave when you want. The reality is no one, once you're gone, is really going to miss you. They will say that, yeah, it was, it would have been nice if you'd stayed, but their conversations will continue. They will switch to other things. That doesn't mean it's mean. It doesn't mean they don't like you. It's just a reality. So, when you want to go, if you've only been there an hour, it doesn't matter. If you want to say goodbye, say goodbye. If you don't, again, it doesn't matter. I have been to umpteen work dues where I've been there for an hour and a half in the evening. Everyone's having a great time, and I've just left. And it's no problem. Someone next day might say, oh, what time did you leave? And I'll say 10, and then oh my God, I thought you didn't leave till midnight or something. They will have forgotten, and it's absolutely fine. And choose carefully. I think this is what you touched on, Mark, is so true. This is where you find out who your real friends are. This is where you find out who were the drinking partners, who were those who really fed off your habit or addiction. And that's not to say they are bad people at all. I don't mean it like that. What I mean is that there are those out there, and I have those people in my life who, if I bump into them, I'll say hello, but I don't see them anymore. It's not because I don't like them. It's because we now live in different ways, and that was the old way I lived, and this is the new way. They're lovely people. I have no issue with that, but we really socialize through drink, and that's something I don't do anymore. So we don't socialize together, and that, like I say, that is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But your real friends, they'll be the ones who keep inviting you. They'll be the ones who'll say, let's go to the cinema. They'll be the ones who say, come round for dinner, and they may have a glass of wine or two. They will be there for you, trust me. And then I think the final thing is what you touched on, and 100% agree, is look at the advantages. An example I give you is at the beginning of July, I went away with work. Very, very fortunate. We had 2 nights in Nîmes, which is a city in the south of France, very famous because it has an amphitheater. I think that's the right word, like a coliseum. That's it. Yeah. Which is intact. It's amazing, actually, and beautiful city. And we had 2 nights where there were activities, party, etc. Really good music, fun, great people. I really lucky. I like my colleagues. They're really a good bunch, and had lots of fun. And then about 11, I just made my way off. Had this lovely hotel room. Went back there. Got into bed, read for a bit, fell asleep by about 11:30, 12. Next morning, got up around 6:30, got my running gear on, went out. The sun was up, just that lovely period in the morning where the sun's up, it's not too hot, and I ran around the city. And it's just a beautiful city, and there weren't many people about. And I didn't run far, maybe did 4 or 5 kilometers, but it was just brilliant. And that was my fun. And some of my colleagues got up, sore heads, not feeling great, probably didn't really concentrate much in the day because they couldn't. But you know what? No one gave me a hard time for it. Everyone had a good time. And that's the thing. Choose what you want to do. And you know what? If you don't want to go, don't go. I think that's key as well. It's your choice, it's your life.
Yeah, I mean, certainly when I was drinking at the weekends, you would go out, you would drink in the evenings, and it was always at the cost of the day after. You'd
Yeah.
sacrifice the day after. And I think what I've noticed is that since quitting drinking, you realize that you suddenly get that back. So other things kind of, you get back the days, like you just said, you were up early, running around the city, you suddenly find there's a load of things that you can do during the day that you just weren't able to do because you went out the night before and had a skinful. Whereas if you don't drink, you can still go out the night before, you still have a laugh, you have a couple of non-alcoholic beers or,
Mm.
ginger ales or whatever you have.
Mocktail, whatever.
You leave when you want to leave. You leave on your terms. Like you said, nobody even remembers, particularly if they're drinking, because they can't remember what time you went and they just get on with their night. And then you get the benefit of the full day the next day as well. So there really just doesn't seem to me to be any downside. So that's it really. So I think, yes, my advice would be don't let it phase you. Try it out. And the more you do it, the more it becomes the norm to be out without a drink. You start to establish new habits. And I think that's life is all about, establishing the right type of habits. And those habits include, yeah, okay, you get a good night's sleep now. You do things the next day. You're more productive. You feel better about yourself. You look back on the night. You're not worried about what you said. You're not worried if you said something silly. You're not worried if you made a dick of yourself. You're in control. And yeah, it's a stress-free way of socializing. There's enough anxiety, there's enough things to worry about. I think drink just kind of compounds it. So yeah, I'll leave it there for me. I don't think I've got anything else to say on it. Matt, have you got any other closing?
I just wanted to finish on a bit of a strange note, actually. So I wanted to share a story from yesterday. And I just want to share this story because for those of you out there who are maybe finding things difficult, maybe struggling, maybe you're having some time off the booze, off the alcohol, and then you're going back, and that's absolutely fine. And I know everybody has things in life that are difficult. But yesterday I encountered some people who really, really do have a hard life, and it moved me. And so I wanted to just share this. So yesterday I went to a friend of my daughter's. Actually, we dropped my daughter off for a play date, and the parents invited us in. And we went in, and it was a very small apartment. A lot of people in Paris most people live in apartments, and some of them can be small. It's expensive where we live, and city living for you. And when we were there, this little boy came running out of a bedroom, and they sort of tried to stop him. And then the mother looked up and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, this is Raphael. He's our son. He is autistic, and he's non-communicative, and his mental age is 2." And this little boy was the sweetest little boy you've ever seen. He was just so sweet looking, yet he clearly, he has a difficult path in front of him, and as do his parents. And when I was sat on the sofa, he kind of came, and this is going to sound really terrible, and it's not meant to sound terrible, but I can only describe him as like, maybe you've seen the the Tarzan films, where more recent ones, where it's a child who's grown up in the jungle almost, and he's non-communicative and is with the animal sort of thing. So, and this child was kind of like that. He was like climbing on the sofa, and he just kind of jumped on me and gave me this enormous hug. Never met him before, and it was really quite incredibly sweet. And then he's kind of inquisitive, and he uses his hands, and he's sensitive, and what was funny is when the door opens, he assumes he's going to the park, so he started getting his socks and shoes on, and it was but then the reality bites, and the reality is that his parents get no time to themselves. It's all about Raphael. His sister has known nothing else but her brother having autism, and it made me just sit there and think that sometimes we moan and complain about the cards we've been dealt, or things or situations, and you don't have to look far to realize that there are people out there who are dealing with incredibly difficult things. Raphael is getting older, he's getting stronger, he will never have a more his mental age will always rest around 2-3 years old, and you just think, well, how's that going to work in the future? So I don't know why I wanted to share that story, but it's something that kind of got me yesterday and made me think, if sometimes we don't know what difficult is. So if you can make that change in your life, if you can bring yourself some perspective, everything's difficult, but some people really are faced with challenges, and anything is possible. I saw two people yesterday, two parents who were dealing with their son because he's their son, and he always will be. And I have nothing, other than respect and admiration for that. So life's tough, but I tell you what, if you can remove alcohol, my God, it makes everything so much easier.
Yeah, no, okay. Well, yeah, wait, gentlemen, I think, it is an interesting one. Yeah, this is a podcast all about quitting alcohol. And I think that, that's a struggle in and of itself. But maybe the thing to always kind of bear in mind is that if you do quit, there is a amazing opportunity that exists beyond that. And the only thing you have to do is stop putting the alcohol in your mouth. And yeah, I think sometimes remembering that other people have challenges that aren't as easily solved, that aren't as easily fixed. It might feel like you're in a dark place with drinking alcohol, but actually there is one pretty straightforward, not necessarily easy, but there is a solution to this issue. And not always. In fact, funnily enough, my best friend's son is non-verbal autistic, and my best friend also quit drinking alcohol a little while ago, and we often talk, and we talk a lot about his son, and we talk about obviously the challenges of that. And the one thing he always says to me is, thank God I stopped drinking though. Thank God I stopped drinking, because if I was still drinking, this just doesn't work. So it makes a lot of sense, makes you a better person. That was a tangent we weren't expecting to go on, but yeah, it's a good one, worth mentioning. So okay, all right, well, thanks for sharing that, Matt. And yeah, your heart goes out to them. There's no two ways about it. So right, okay, there you go. Thanks for listening. Please do all the stuff that we normally ask: like, subscribe, share if you can. That really does help. We really appreciate all the comments. Like Matt said, the change to the name of our podcast was direct result of one of the comments. So please keep them coming. We do read them all. And yeah, thanks again. Until the next time, never quit quitting. Thanks from me.
Goodbye from me.
Cheers, guys.